or you could do it with a blocked nose. Even if you do it slowly, it will help open up the blocked nose. So don't rush it. Don't try to make it perfect. Make it yours. Just enjoy it. Twice a day, 8 to 10 minutes each time. You can combine this with right after your exercises, and this is really powerful. Yeah? Okay. So we will move to the sixth addition to a fast, which is rest. How many of us underestimate the power of rest? Because it sounds so simple. It sounds like I want to tell me to do something. This is like I'm not doing anything. What is the benefit of not doing anything? And we all are guilty of this. We all want to make the most of our day. We all tend to, the last thing we want to prioritize is our sleep or our rest. So, just want to discuss, we're putting in so much effort into taking away Pran Shakti from digestion, where it is maximum and mostly consumed. Now that the Pran Shakti is available for healing, if we start doing things which again get the Pran Shakti absorbed in those things, what good is that? How will that really help us eliminate the toxins? So for Pran Shakti to do healing, we must not only stop it from digesting, but also stop it from getting diverted into other areas which will get absorbed by. What are those other areas which we tend to do? We tend to gossip with our friends. We tend to watch TV. We tend to watch news. We tend to do other things which then get us stressed and strained and active in the mind. And then our Pran Shakti again can't do any healing work. So by having given up food, that's really, really good. That's the first step. Now let's make sure that the Pran Shakti doesn't get distracted doing anything else. So sleep is very important. What time do you think we should all sleep at night for maximum rest and maximum benefit of the rest? 9 p.m. So the golden rule here is any sleep we get between 9 p.m. and 12 a.m. midnight will actually count for twice the value in terms of quality of sleep. So many of us may sleep for 8 hours but don't feel rested in the morning because we may not be getting those 3 hours of quality sleep. So let's try to sleep at 9 o'clock. Let's be in bed at 9 o'clock. Many of us may feel like हमें तो नींद ही नहीं आता, we don't feel sleepy so early. Never mind. Get into bed. Keep your phones away, get into bed, make the practice, and your body will take it as a sign to sleep early. When you sleep at 9 o'clock, you'll see the power of how you feel in the morning when you wake up. Especially during a fast, your body will take up all those hours into intense healing. We heal the most when we are sleeping or when we are resting. So, how many of you will sleep at 9 o'clock today or will be in bed without your phones at 9 o'clock today? Let's at least set an intention to be in bed at 9 o'clock. Can we? All of us should really do it. So that's the physical part of rest, where we can put our body to rest at 9 o'clock. What about mental rest? What about through the day when we may be actually lying down, but we are thinking so much and we are actively planning, scheming, thinking, getting stressed because of our mind? So, what are those areas and activities which we must be careful to avoid during a fast? Because they can tap and take away our pran shakti from healing. Intense work calls, where we are getting stressed by something happening at work, and we are continuously engaging our mind into work calls. So let's minimize. If anyone is still doing an 8 hour day or a 10 hour day at work, request you to make it to 6 hours, or don't get an over and indulged with work during the fast. So you want to be more peaceful, more grounded. If we strain ourselves too much during a fast, it can again have repercussions. So request you to not anyway anytime you find your mind overthinking or engaged in too much of thoughts which are tapping our pran shakti, try to bring it back. And what are the ways? Exercise, pranayam, going on a walk, watching the documentaries. These will all realign your pranashakti, your energies in the right areas. So we will practice one simple way of resting. It's called Yog Nidra, and many of you may have heard of it, tried it, experienced it, but I will guide you all through a short 7 to 10 minute Yog Nidra right now. So you can be wherever you are. If you're lying down on your bed, then you can lie down straight. That is great. If you're sitting on the chair, you could just sit erect. Again, please remove your glasses or anything which is tight, and I request you to give me the next 8 to 10 minutes completely uninterrupted. I would like to guide you through this beautiful experience, and you'll experience what rest means and what rest can feel like in just a short time. This is by no means a replacement for sleep, but it is another way of catching up on that rest and giving the body a rest even through the day. So, all you have to do is hear me, you don't have to see me. So, for the next 8 minutes, 10 minutes, if you can just lay down or if you can just close your eyes and follow my guidelines. Close your eyes and relax your mind. Relax your body mentally. Relax your whole being and concentrate on your breath. Don't try to breathe a certain way. Just focus on your regular breath. Become aware of the air as it touches your body, how it feels on your skin. Remember the intention which you set for yourself for the fast. Allow those words to replay in your mind. Now, collectively, we will take a few breaths together. Place one hand on your stomach and the other hand on your heart. And let's inhale together and take a deep exhale together. We will try that once more, and this time we will exhale with a deep sigh from our mouth. So we can inhale and exhale with your mouth. We'll try that once more. Inhale from your nose and exhale from your mouth. Now I will guide you through different parts of our body. You don't have to move yourself. Just listen to the words and allow the words to go straight into you. As you close your eyes, Pay attention to the third eye, the part between your eyebrows. To the tip of your nose, to your throat, the middle of the neck, to the middle of your chest, to your right shoulder, elbow, wrist, thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger. Your wrist, elbow, and your shoulder. Middle of the chest. This time we move on to the left shoulder. Elbow, wrist, thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and little finger. Wrist, elbow, shoulder, middle of the chest, the navel or the belly button, your hip, right side of the hip, knees, ankle, first toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. Ankle, knee, hip. Moving on to the left side, left hip, knee, ankle, big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and fifth toe. Ankle, knee, hip, navel, middle of the chest, middle of the throat, top of your nose, back to the brow center, the third eye. Bring your attention back to your breath. And slowly feel yourself coming back. Notice how quiet your heartbeat is. Notice how quiet your mind is. Slowly we will all come back. Hi. So we're back live, and that was a very, very short Yog Nidra session. There are many online videos on Yog Nidra which I recommend you can watch on YouTube. Excellent to do any time of the day. Very, very powerful when you're fasting. So, just want to do a quick recap of the last addition to the fast, rest. We need 8 hours of sleep, and we must sleep at 9 p.m. at night to get those 3 golden hours of double quality sleep, if we can say so. And we want to stay away from anything which saps our mental peace, any work calls which are very intense, TV, news channels, gossip, or anything which is engaging us and creating stress for us. That is the opposite of rest. And if we get a chance to practice any Yog Nidra, that's bonus. That's really, really good. So YouTube has many good Yog Nidra guided meditations. Highly recommend them to you. So we will do a quick recap of all the 6 additions to fasting, and I would like all of you all to try all 6 in the evening today, tomorrow morning, and even on you can take it forward from there to really know the benefits. Maybe right now we have understood it intellectually and we have experienced it a little bit, but when you do it in your life and you do it while you fast, you will start to see the magic, how the simple things are more important than the complicated things. And these are those 6 simple things which you can do to really increase and boost the quality of your fast. So, how many of you want to do all 6 today and tomorrow? Sunbathing, enema, wet pack, exercise, pranayam, and sleep at 9 p.m. Please, 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 I recommend and I hope all of you all can do it to see the benefit for yourself. To make this a little easier, we have tried to create a very basic schedule which you can follow in the mornings. So, like I said, we sleep at 9 o'clock. We wake up anywhere between 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning, and then we devote 1 full hour to exercising, pranayam, and sunbathing. So, you can decide what time works best for you. This is just a rough outline, a schedule we have created. And after that, we dedicate some time to our wet pack and our enema. And then we get ready with our juice, and the session starts at 10 o'clock. So this is very, very rough, very, very basic, but it's very powerful. And you'll be surprised at how the fast will become so seamless and so easy. And all our detox symptoms will get taken care of if we follow this morning routine properly. And all of these are recommended so that you can continue them even after your fast, not just during the fast. If there are any questions, our FAQ page has many of them answered, and if there are still questions on the FAQ page, you can reach out to us and we will answer them for you. So I think we're ready to move on. Subhasha, there's one very interesting person we want to talk about.
So I hope you had a great session with Harsh, knowing how to do pranayam, Yog Nidra, and
Exercise.
rest,
Use the time.
exercise. We are going to move on. We're going to introduce you to someone who is made fasting a big part of his life, to the extent that he's perpetually on a fast. He's not eaten since the past 20 years now, and nor has he had any water. His name is Elatom. He's a breatharian, and many of you may have heard of breatharians before. We want to show you a video of him today. How many of you have heard of the concept of breatharianism before? Okay,
Nobody.
nobody.
Brilliant.
So let's watch a video of a breatharian, and after the video we'll discuss, is it really possible to live only on prana, to live only on air?
Up in this type of household, when I finally broke away and got my own family and got married, that idea too was in my head to always have enough food to feed your family. And I also bought extra freezers, extra refrigerators, because that was the idea, to always have food available. Now as time went forth, I began to gain more and more weight, and I began to feel very bad. However, everybody in my reality growing up in America, because it was encouraged to eat the 3 meals a day, however it was the 5 meals a day and the big portions, that was commonplace where I grew up at. So however, I began to gain more and more weight, really feel bad about myself. And then one day, as I had to go see the doctor, my blood pressure began to rise and a whole lot of other things began to come into play. However, one day out of being desperate, I ran into a man who said, "Won't you just leave meats alone?" Now at that time, being desperate and my health really feeling bad, I was willing on doing anything, so I left the meats alone. And at that time, I didn't realize it, but that was the motivation to lead me into the pranic journey, by leaving those heavier foods alone. So not only I left the meats alone, I began to also put an exercise routine in my lifestyle. And then I began to learn more about holistic foods, being more vegan, learn more about live and raw foods. But then it got good. I started learning more about fasting. I started fasting once a week, and it started out for religious purposes. But as time went on, I started to learn about meditation. Now, learning about meditation, that gave me the knowledge to learn about the energy channels within the body. Now, there was a time I didn't know they existed or not, but as I went into the practice and began to focus on those different energy channels, I began to get a boost of energy. It began to better my health, give me more energy, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was already on the pranic journey, because the pranic journey is a holistic health message. So as time went on, I went more into 80% live and raw foods. My meditation, I really stayed with it, and I was so proud of what I did with my health. I got rid of all of that weight. I went from 180 pounds to 160 pounds, and I really felt good about myself. Then one day a young lady said to me, "There's people who can live without eating." And I said, "What?" So I began to go check that information. Now, 19 years ago, because I've been on this path 19 years, they really didn't have that much information like today. But anyway, I did the best I can. I tried to find the most information I can. And what I found that there was a 21-day process at the time that was in circulation. However, I didn't have enough money to take 21 days off of work. I just got married, just bought a house. So what gave me my confidence that I could pull this off, since I didn't have enough money to go out of the country for 21 days, is that the improvements I've already made on my health. I was already living a life of 80% live and raw. I was already into fasting once a week. I was already meditating constantly, and I was already exercising. So I seen all of these health improvements. Now again, I didn't notice it was the pranic journey already. That's why I teach people on this type of level of first you gotta learn how to eat. First you gotta put exercise into your life, fasting and so forth, and meditation, because that's the foundation of living on prana. So anyway, when I found out about it, and I started to study as much as I can, I went into food freedom. Now, what I learned was the physical body was easy to get into a food-free state. But the problem was the accumulated habits that I've done throughout the years of eating. And food is all around you. And my son just did a real good research on food and its association with drug addiction. Your body does give off reward centers of oxytocin, dopamine. And when you're dealing with foods that you love and you've created this habit, this is what the human being is up against. So anyway, I went on to the pranic levels, and there's many different levels and degrees. So I learned how to eat once a day. I learned how to eat once every 3 days. So I understood that as I kept learning more and more and more about being on this path, because keep in mind, you cannot really tell an experience. You have to go through the experience to learn about it. So as I was going through this experience, this is what makes me such a good, credible teacher today, is because I took myself to engage this experience. So being with my son as he was growing up, I decided to eat once every other weekend to maintain our relationship, because that's my son that I have created, but also I've already broke the rules of what they said that was normal on how you should eat and how much calories you need and so forth. Now, a lot of people mistake this for binge eating, but this is not binge eating at all. Because keep in mind, I said meditation is the foundation, and I've been meditating for years. In other words, I've been meditating so much that actually living on prana is a walking meditation. I'm meditating right now. I'm meditating every day. Because the more you can hold the light into your body, hold that frequency, that vibration, you don't need to keep jumping back to physical foods. So that's the person's problem. You got to get used to this new vibration. So anyway, as I've been on this path, I've gotten stronger and stronger to where as my son got grown, I didn't need to eat every other weekend right now. So right now, I don't eat no food at all, and I don't do liquids also, because that's just another frequency or vibration. And the reason being is because this experience that I'm having is an exploration of consciousness. I already know what it feels like to eat. You understand? So therefore, to explore this consciousness, most people just look at it as being in their head. But your consciousness is your physical body. I am what I think. So therefore, I have robust health. Health is the thing that you know that you have accumulated more prana. There is no in between. And then your external environment. This is my imagination that I'm living in. So when I tell people that I'm living a life, living in heaven, I'm living a life with no problems, there's no blockages, because I've let the lower vibration of light alone. That's what food is. It's a lower vibration of light. But there's what you call UV light. UV means ultraviolet. Ultra means above or beyond the visible light. So I'm being sustained by those invisible forces that's in the air, that's in the solar power. You understand that the eyes cannot see, but by opening up your energy channel, your body is already connected with it. So again, I have taken my mission to go around the world to educate people, not only that this exists, but also to be an example, but also show them and take them into the practices to open up their energy. Hi, my name is Elitam Elamine, and I'm a breatharian. And a breatharian is a person that can eat very little or none at all. Now, I grew up in Ohio, USA. And growing up in Ohio, USA, I grew up in a family where my mother made sure that we always had food within the household. She made
Were you able to follow through and understand? what makes Elitome Elitome?
How many of you were able to understand Elitome's journey and were inspired by Elitome's journey? One of you says, and I was just starting to feel proud of ourselves. Yes. So Elitome is someone who has not eaten food or water, has not even had water since the past 20 years. That does not mean he's not having anything, having any food. As in the video, he says he's taking prana food, air food, sun food, and through his meditation, he is grasping food. So we can think about it like this, that we know so little of the world right now. We only think that fruits and vegetables can provide us energy. Elitome is someone who has not eaten since so long, yet he has so much energy.
So, how many of you feel it's true and it's possible that someone can survive without food and water for so long? Do you really think it's true, or what do you feel? What do you think?
How many of you think it's true?
And how many of you think he's not real? So you can type not possible or possible on the chat.
Okay. Watching this video, were there any questions that came to your mind? Any questions that came to your mind? If you could meet Elitome one day, what would you ask him? Naveenji says, what's his intake? Bimalji says, how busy is he?
How much pran shakti does he have? Yeah.
How did he survive? Does he not get tempted by food around?
I will offer him pani puri, one of you will say.
Guess what? He's actually right here with us right now
He's going to join us live.
for this session.
It's a good thing to clean yourself out and purify yourself. And this is wonderful.
So we were just sharing your video, Elitome, with everyone, of how you were explaining what your journey was towards this path, how you started with once a week fasting, then one meal a day, and then one meal in 3 days. So that truly makes us all believe that it's a step-by-step journey.
Oh, yes. Okay, I'll tell them the journey, and I'll go slowly if y'all need to translate.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Now, I grew up on an American diet. So there was a time I was eating 3 meals a day, even 5. And by doing that over and over again, as I got older, I began to get overweight. So there was a time I weighed 190 pounds or 80-something kilos. And I felt really bad. My health was really going down. High blood pressure was coming in. So then I decided to make a change. Now the first change I made, I had to get into my mind to start putting me first. I love to help people, but I realize I cannot help other people if I can't help myself. That was number one. And number two, I had to look at my food intake. And my favorite dish was Salisbury steak and gravy. I used to love that dish. But now it was time to make changes, so I had to depart from that old lifestyle. So quickly I became a vegan. I let loose all meat in my diet and all animal byproducts. And immediately I see my life began to change as my body began to change. Then I started to exercise. I started walking around the track every day. And pretty soon I started to run a little. It took time, but I was patient with myself. And again, I began to lose more weight and feel really good about myself. Then over time, I learned about fasting. So I started to fast once a week in my lifestyle. And at first, the fast was hard, 24 hours. Whoa, that was hard. But over a period of time, when I stuck in there, it got easier and easier. And I really felt good about myself that I could do 24 hours, 1 day a week. I didn't over push myself. I loved myself and I took my time. You should learn to master 1 day before you could take on more. But then I learned about meditation. Meditation is the foundation of the pranic lifestyle. So the first meditation that I learned, first I learned about the energy channels of the body, the 7 chakras, the different nadis. And I found out when I went through meditation that these things are actually real. It just ain't no beautiful picture hanging on a wall. So when I began to channel energy through my body every day, I dedicated myself to that practice every day. And I began to see my life change even more. I began to get other energies coming from other areas because my body began to get stronger with the energy coming in. So I was what? Fasting once a week, eating lighter foods, meditation, and exercising, all into my new lifestyle. And I kept transforming myself. Then I learned more about food. I started learning about more organic foods, live and raw foods. I began to learn about juicing, just what y'all doing now, the power of juicing. And I began to do these things in my life. Then I started having weeks where I went straight juice only. And I felt so good. One time, I drank so much orange juice that my skin turned orange. Somebody said, "Look at you, you're orange." I was like, "Oh my gosh, I've been drinking orange juice all week." So as life began to get easier, I started to go in my diet 80% live and raw foods. And I felt really good again. Then one day somebody came up to me and said, "Do you know that there's people who can live without eating food?" And I said, "What? Are you serious?" So I began to check on the information. Now that was over 20 years ago. And back then, there was not that much information on food freedom or unfooding. But there was some resources that I found. And when I found them, they showed different processes, basically letting go of the food. But what got me motivated, I looked at the changes I already did on myself before I even got the food freedom. I changed my life before I even knew that. Now, I used to weigh 190 pounds, 80 something kilos, and now it was like 165. I felt really good, and I did that. My confidence was up, my belief system was back. So I knew food freedom, I can do that. So then, one day I started to go food free. I said, "I think I'm ready." So the first day started. I was no drinking, no eating, and I felt really good. During my meditations, I was high with energy. Day 2 came. I was high with energy again. Day 3 came. Oh my gosh, they should have been told us about this. Wow, this is so easy. Then my sister knocked on the door, doot, doot, doot. And she said she never come over my house, but that day she decided to come. And she had this big box. She was selling candy for the Girl Scouts doing a fundraiser. And it was those M&M candies, you know, those M&M chocolates. And she said, "Can I leave this box over your house?" And I said, "Why, sure." So I was watching TV and I was saying in my mind, now I'm a breatharian. Now I have achieved it. But I kept looking at the box sitting in the corner, looking back at the TV. Looking at the box, looking at the TV. And before I knew it, the next day I woke up, and I had all of this chocolate all over me. I said, "Oh no, I failed. Oh my gosh." But that's what I realized. It wasn't the body that the body can do it. It's in the mind. We got so many habits in us. We've been eating all of our lives, so we're professional eaters. You're good at it. And that habit is very, very strong. Food is always calling you, just like a chain that's on you. It's talking to you. So that's why this is a process, and you got to take your time. Now you got to realize if you try to suppress something, eventually it will come up. So you don't want to do that either. However, what makes the journey so fun, there is foods you can put down right away and you know that. But there is some foods that you made a love affair with and you really love them. My favorite food was avocados, Fritos, those Frito corn chips, and also I used to like chocolate. Those are my 3 right there. However, I enjoyed myself with them. Everything else I left alone. But I kept my fasting, I kept my meditation, I kept my exercise, and the more light you keep getting into your body, pretty soon it'll start overriding those other habits. One day I ate an avocado and it didn't taste the same no more. I said, "What happened?" So I went to another store, bought another one and ate it. It didn't taste the same. So now I realize that my taste buds and my whole body makeup, due to being under the frequency of light, didn't like that old habit no more. It wanted to go to another experience. See, being a breatharian, it comes from an ancient word for fasting that means anidia. And anidia means to eat very little or none at all. What do very little mean? I've been on this path 20 years, and there's some things that's not called for you to be not eating at all as you're on your journey, having your experience in life. There was a time I was raising my son, I decided to eat with him every other weekend. Now, every other weekend is still a breatharian. Why is that? Because you already broke all the medical records right there. That's powerful. But as he got older and he's grown now, then I could take my journey to another level as you keep growing and developing. So there's many different levels on the breatharian journey. There's the baby levels, there's the teenage levels, and there's the adult levels. So be easy on yourself and take the journey. Don't beat up on yourself and be hard on yourself. There's an old saying that says, a lot of people come to me, "I want to be a breatharian." And you know what I say to them? This is a holistic health message. Holistic means whole. It's the totality of your whole life. Do you know that your whole life is nourishing you? It's about relationships. There's some relationships that can draw energy from you. There's some relationships that could give you more energy. See, I feed off being happy. Happiness is what I seek in health. That's the secret. That's the frequency. I hope you got a lot out of this. Now, me, I could talk all day long. Do you need more?
Maybe, Alatom, we can take 3 questions from the audience. Did you ever feel like you should go back to your normal lifestyle?
Oh my gosh. When I think of that last lifestyle now, I don't regret my past at all. I had a wonderful life. You understand? But to go back to it, I don't see that at all because it's a feeling state. My body feels totally different and I love being in this state. To go back to that now, I can't see that. Actually, in my mind, I'm going back into bondage, into a slavery, into a darkness. It shuts down your consciousness because what you put in your body does relate to your consciousness. That's how I feel now. You go into another being.
I think little people are concerned or wondering where you get your strength from. Can you show us how strong you are?
Voila, where's my muscle? Voila, la la.
How many push-ups do you do at one time?
2 last questions, Alatom. How old are you and do you drink water?
All right, I'm 51 and drinking water now. This is a good question. Beautiful. Drinking water for a breatharian is actually the last question because it's boring. It's boring, it has no taste, so that'll be boring. If you're going to drink something, you'll get something a lot harder. And there was people in Europe one time, they used to hear breatharians talking, and they'll see them drink like cappuccino or something and say, well, if they're talking to a breatharian and they choose something to drink, why do they drink that? Because a lot of them, this happens on the journey, you broke the idea of what's keeping you healthy. See, the average person, even when they go into nutrition, you get into vitamins, minerals, calories. When you're on the breatharian levels, all of that breaks. So even when you get something to eat, it don't matter what you eat, you know you're not going to stay there. That's a whole nother level. Now, water, there's moisture in the atmosphere that we're sitting in right now. Like you said, there's 200 and something people from all around the world on here right now. Everybody that's sitting on here, your atmosphere that you're sitting in has moisture in it. You can take your hand and feel it. We're living in water. It's just that the average person is not aware of it. It's like a fish being born in the ocean and they don't know it's born in the ocean. That's just its environment. So your body is well intelligent on how to pull that out of the atmosphere. Now, the reason why you feel that thirst and stuff is due to the mucus buildup inside of your system. Your body creates mucus on everything you eat. So that's why you feel thirsty. The body wants to what? Flush itself. So if you eat, you should drink water. Those are just some of the rules. And if you overeat, you're going to be hungry the next day. Those are just the rules that come with the territory. So that's why this is a self-realization. When you start learning more about fasting, laying back from the table, and even though y'all going on a juice fast, your next upgrade is going to be water fasting. Water is the greatest soluble on the planet. It does give life, and we are mostly water. But your body is well and able, it's the greatest absorber, the skin we have, to grab water out of the atmosphere. Test this study is going on right now.
Wow. What message would you like to leave us with who are on a juice fast? Would you like to share the last message before we head out?
All right, on this last message, as you go through this juice fasting, since that's what y'all doing, Write down the benefits and keep on studying the do's and the don'ts. And look how your body just keep transforming itself. Stay on the health path because you're going to deal with health all your life. And what you're doing now, just start and do it. And it's going to benefit you every day as you live. So keep up the good work and keep on transforming yourself because there's something that's in all of us that always wants to grow. So keep up the good work and namaste.
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 Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much, Alitom.
It was a real pleasure
Okay.
to have you with us.
Thank you.
So we wish you the very best. How do you all feel?
How was it talking to Alitom? Yes, um, it's it's not like we want to reach there. As Alitom described in his video, it was a very, very gradual process for him. He explained how first he started fasting. Once, actually, even before that, first he started eating vegetarian food. Then he went to vegan food. Then he went to raw vegan food. Then he started fasting once a week. Then he started fasting twice a week. Then he started fasting 3 days a week. So it was very, very gradual process for Elitom. So I think one of my biggest takeaways from the video and from his talk was that it's a very gradual process, and we never have to force our body into a fast.
So we hope you took inspiration from it, and to see someone like him in real life is always a good reminder for us to know that we only come in our own way. We only don't know what we are capable of, and how we can take it one step at a time, and eventually, fasting will become a real part of our lives.
So lots of you uh, commenting on the chat. Still shaken up by what all is possible by a human, only if he believes it's possible.
So if we just try to reimagine or re-understand the definition of food, and there is more to food than earth food, and how sun food and air food can be giving us maybe more energy than what earth food can give us. Except no one stands to make money selling any sun food or air food because it's free of cost. So we don't see marketing commercials for that on the TV channels. But it's available for all of us. Mother Nature has given it to us for free.
So, with this, we would like to tell you what is the documentary for today that you have to watch. So, it's the second part of Joe's documentary, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead 2 is our movie for today.
We'll
So,
quickly show you the
trailer, but this is the link. It's the same link as yesterday, it's the same process as yesterday. But we request, please, please, please watch his documentary. If you have not watched Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead 1, you can straight away skip to the second part. But please, please, please watch it. It's an essential part of this fast to watch the movies that are being suggested. It will serve as a lot of inspiration to you to continue your fast and complete the 3 days.
so let's
Watch the trailer.
what you eat.
The real epidemic isn't just
So we have to end with a lot of energy. Juice on India.
We'll make a compilation of all these videos and we'll be sending all of these videos to you to inspire each other. So please don't miss or forget these activities. They're very important, as well as the documentaries.
So we'll see you at 6 o'clock right here for the second quiz and the discussion today.
Have a
Have a-
lovely day.
Take care. Bye bye.